This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another main event review. Thank you once again for tuning in to this week's episode. Not really much updates from the last episode in a sense of anything that's groundbreaking. We're waiting on Naomi's decision and sort of her address to the crowd, tomorrow's episode on Raw, where I suspect that she will relinquish the title. A lot of people are saying that she's pregnant. A lot of people saying she's injured, but I guess tomorrow we'll find out. And it's a bit of a shame that if she is to relinquish the title, because she's pretty much found her feet in this new character, proceeding with caution and finally being a heel, which I think myself and a lot of people were very excited to sort of see how that dynamic would look. And she's far exceeded my expectations, and it's going to be sad if she does drop the title, because I feel like that sort of heel run was just getting to the best parts. She obviously finished her sort of feud with Jade, and she was expected to probably have the Women's World Championship for a very long time here. So not too sure what's going to happen with the title as well. I know Stephanie Vacour was up for a title at Clash in Paris. Io Sky is probably going to be involved, and obviously Rhea Ripley too, given that she's probably the face of the women's division. But a lot of elements and factors that we'll have to wait for. But you never know, knowing the way that WWE has been kind of steering towards, it could be another work. Doesn't seem like it is, but like you can't rule it out these days, because everything seems to be a work in the business. And last week when I mentioned that Karrion Kross will not be re-signing with the company, you had that inkling that it was going to be a work. But the next day after I recorded the episode, he obviously made it official and sort of said that it wasn't a work either. So that's still a shame. I'm expecting to hear "We Want Kross" chants on this episode of Raw. I think the reason why we didn't hear it last week was mainly because everyone still may have thought it was a work. But now that it's official, I feel as though the Kross chants are going to come out crazy in this week's episode of Raw. So I'm really expecting that to happen. But again, Naomi's going to address the crowd. We're going to see what's happening with the Women's World Heavyweight Championship or World Championship, and we'll go from there. But yeah, that's probably sort of the main update I had. We had the AAA Mania as well. El Hijo de Vikingo winning the title in that Fatal 4-Way match, beating all three WWE superstars. And what I'm hearing down there is that it's sort of like a 2015 Roman Reigns treatment for El Hijo de Vikingo. A lot of people don't like the fact that he's getting overpushed, and the crowd is not really happy with that. So a lot of bad reception and boos for him. Obviously, Dominic Mysterio got interfered by AJ Styles, which was probably one of the pettiest moves I've ever seen. AJ traveling all the way to Mexico City to cost Dom a title. So that will continue to ramp up and sort of follow on Raw. And I sort of like that. I sort of like the idea that WWE superstars are sort of crossing to different brands such as AAA, and storylines are sort of related to there. So I'm a big fan of that sort of kind of duo combo. And we may see El Hijo de Vikingo actually come on WWE brand sooner rather than later as well. So those things are all exciting nevertheless. And it was just great to see. And I watched it, all the sort of WWE superstars that are on the main brand featuring there, such as the Judgment Day, such as Los Garzas, and a few others that I can't recall, on that Natalia as well, and obviously the three guys that competed in that main event. It was great. It was really great to see. And Corey Graves and JBL were good on the mic. I tried to listen in the Spanish as well, because trying to learn that on the side, and that was also really good. But we'll move on to main event now with the first match commencing. Again, back to sort of normal proceedings. We have Raw segments and even some SmackDown segments today, which we'll sort of address as well. But the first match being Carmelo Hayes taking on Axiom. This was the match of the night. I think you've crossed even the matches on Raw and SmackDown, to be honest, or the ones that they showed on main event, was a really, really good match. It seems as though these guys have a similar size and weight, and you could see that they work together really well because of that. Lots of counters, lots of nice super kicks. Like, obviously super kicks has become a transition move and not a finisher, but Axiom pulled out some pretty lethal super kicks on Carmelo Hayes, and even Carmelo Hayes is just a great in-ring performer, and we'll talk about him because he does get the victory here. Pulls the mask of Axiom while the referee wasn't looking, and then hits the sort of cutter. I'm surprised they didn't go with nothing but net. That is his finisher, but they didn't finish the match with that. But that's not the worst thing anyway. I think it's good to see something different and unexpected. But Carmelo Hayes, I'm really a big fan of his character, and I'm really a big fan of his in-ring abilities. He's probably one of the best young talents in-ring, and he was the number one pick. The commentators do ride with that sort of saying, and it seems as though WWE are trying to push him forward. It's a very stacked roster, so I can understand why he hasn't had any mid-card or main event time. Like, you've got in SmackDown Solo, that's the US champion right now, and they're dealing with Bloodline stuff or MFT stuff, whatever you want to call it. And then you've got the world undisputed world championship, which or WWE championship, which is obviously held by Cody Rhodes. So it's very hard for Carmelo Hayes to integrate into those things. But what I do like is that The Miz is sort of elevating him as well and trying his best to put him over. And The Miz is doing something that's sort of significant too on SmackDown. Obviously, the latest episode, which doesn't cover on main event, so I can sort of mention it. We had The Miz taking the limelight off Carmelo Hayes and doing the skull-crushing finale and getting the victory. So it seems as though they're building up a bit of a feud between those two. The Miz pretending to be someone that's obviously supporting Carmelo Hayes, but in the end of the day, he's trying to actually push himself over rather than Hayes. But off the sort of storyline, Miz is truly doing really well in trying to create new superstars, and Carmelo Hayes is certainly someone for the future. I know they don't talk about him so much, but there are a lot of people that speak very highly of Carmelo Hayes, and he's a great in-ring performer. He has the personality as well to back it, and it may mean that he might get a babyface turn here to sort of push him up. And not on main event, but definitely on SmackDown, he was getting a really, really good reception from the crowd as well. A lot of people were chanting and cheering for him. So the fans are backing him as well. They're ones that want to see Carmelo Hayes sort of take it to the next level and do something that's significant, whether that's a face turning on The Miz to sort of propel him in that direction, or whether he continues to remain his persona and just continue to win the hearts of the universe. They'll be very good for him, and I think that's going to happen very soon. You can see this happening organically. It's sort of the same thing with sort of Austin as well. So yeah, it's the sort of kind of same thing, but we'll have to sort of wait and see. I know Austin is injured at the moment, and we'll have to wait for him to come back. But again, it's still happening really well for Carmelo Hayes there. So Carmelo Hayes getting the victory here. Carmelo Hayes getting the fans sort of on his side, and looks like WWE on the main roster are moving him to do something pretty decent. And given that it's only a 2-hour window in SmackDown, getting TV time there is tough to begin with. So it's good that Carmelo Hayes is sort of still getting that at the moment. We then have CM Punk going back to Raw, making his entrance to the ring, basically addressing the fact that he got cashed in on and interfered the match with Seth Rollins. He does mention that he doesn't hate the game because he's cashed in on people before, but he most certainly hates the player in Seth Rollins, and says that he's going to obviously come after him and go for that world championship. That's when LA Knight comes in, essentially says that he cost him the match, basically saying that he should have dealt with Seth Rollins after he was done with him, and basically said that he understands he deserves his rematch, but he has to wait in line, as LA Knight's obviously the one that's ahead of him in the line to his thought. And then Punk basically said that how do you expect him to win the championship when Seth Rollins curb stomped him on the concrete like a coconut, which I found pretty funny. That's why I'm sort of laughing before sort of previewing that. But essentially, they sort of go back and forth in that. That's where Paul Heyman comes in to pretty much promote the Shula Fala and Braun Breaker, saying they're the future, all that jazz. And then CM Punk obviously gets challenged, and they accept the challenge for a tag team match that we'll see later on today. So just a bit of a promo to let, I guess, LA Knight know, or that LA Knight is still very much involved in this match. Obviously, the main kind of fallout will be that CM Punk and Seth Rollins will go at it one-on-one for this title. But it's great to see LA Knight involved in this heavily, and it's just good to see him on Raw. He just really suits the Raw brand. So I think they've done the swap with Sami Zayn and LA Knight. Bit interesting that Sami Zayn just moved to SmackDown so prematurely, but we're talking about LA Knight here. He's now a stable on Raw. He's getting that main event time, which is great, and he's going at it with CM Punk on the mic as well, which is also something that I've been wanting to see too. So those guys later on will team up and take on the Vision, so that's their new name, and of obviously the Bronze, which is Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, so that will be pretty exciting. One side note, I do like as mentioned last week, I'm going to repeat it again, the new kind of gimmick that Bronson Reed is doing with being the Trouble Thief and the owner of the Shula Fala. It's a great little angle, as mentioned. So he's going to officially take on Roman Reigns at Clash in Paris, which is quite interesting. Obviously, Roman Reigns' schedule doesn't help this storyline build up, but there was a nice little backstage promo or sort of video promo of Bronson Reed talking about this match as well. So hopefully this week's episode of Raw, I think Roman Reigns is set to come. They sort of build up that storyline between those two, and it's just great to see that Bronson Reed is getting these big matches, and he may not be the focal point of this group, albeit actually probably the lowest sort of focus is on him. He's still getting big matches, and that's important in himself, and they're really still trying to organically push Bronson Reed, but we all know that Bron Breakker is the main guy here, but still, Bronson Reed's getting his flowers there. So yeah, there'll be a match there. Officially thought I'd announce that, but again, this tag team match will happen at the end of the show, which is also addressed on this, and we'll get to it once we kind of go through the order of this. So the next match, we had Becky Lynch taking on Maxine Dupree, and Becky Lynch, they're giving a lot of Women's Intercontinental Championship footage on these main event shows. I've noticed that most of the mid-card sort of screenings that they put on Raw is Becky Lynch heavily involved. We had the promo last time. We had a lot of Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch promos leading up to SummerSlam 2. And now we've got a match between Becky and Maxine Dupree, where we see Becky Lynch getting the victory for Disarmer. This wasn't a long match at all. It was to sort of just put Maxine Dupree on the map, sort of make everyone feel and believe that she had a chance to win the title, but it was just to show Becky Lynch's bullying power and whatnot. What I did like was after the match, she gives a little cheap kick to Natalya, and it seems as though that, not that Natalya is probably going to win a Women's Intercontinental title, but puts her kind of back in the picture for now. We saw her at Triple A. Maybe she'll bring out that sort of MMA look against Becky Lynch. That would be nice to see. But again, Natalya is getting a little bump up, which is interesting. So she's getting main event, or not main event, but Raw main time, which is good, main card time. So that's also pretty exciting for her. Whether she does something with that, I don't know. She's obviously been in the industry for so many years and with the company for so many years. So we'll know what she brings, and we'll know that she probably won't win the title, but she might make the feud interesting with Becky Lynch. I think Nikki Bella's schedule is also quite part-time, so that's probably why we haven't saw her yet. But I think that's where they're going to sort of aim for Clash in Paris, or if not, the next PLE, because they had that promo a few weeks back, and I don't think Natalya is the end game for Becky Lynch. I think the main focus will be with Nikki Bella and them having their feud, especially coming off that crazy promo battle that they had, and Becky Lynch sort of completely rinsing her in the John Cena line. So they are saying that there is going to be a match with Natalya. There will be a little bit of a feud there, but I think they'll just go as far as probably 1 or 2 matches at the very best, or least, to be honest. Then we go to main event. We have a little John Cena promo with Logan Paul, and that's where then Drew McIntyre comes out. I think Logan Paul basically mentions that he's disgusted with the sort of new John Cena, and basically challenges John Cena to a match at Clash in Paris, which they have. And then Drew McIntyre comes in. Seems as though that Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre are buddies now, and that's where Cody Rhodes also comes in and sort of helps out John Cena there. And what I'll say about that quickly, obviously Logan Paul and John Cena are going to be going against each other at Clash in Paris. We're probably going to see Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre go against each other as well, and I'm very excited for that. Ever since Drew McIntyre went on SmackDown, the first thing I thought about is, when is he going to verse Cody Rhodes and have a feud with him? Because it seemed as though since Cody Rhodes has been there, I don't think they've had a proper program together, and that was a program that I think I've been waiting for a long time. And could you imagine if Drew wins the title? That would be simply incredible. I know it won't happen, but it's just great to see Drew McIntyre back in sort of those World Championship talks and sort of fighting for those titles after a ruthless sort of feud with CM Punk, which was an unbelievable rivalry. People still discredit how good that rivalry actually was between those two. And now he's moving on to sort of world title talks, which is great. And he might have a chance to beat Cody. I doubt he will, but that feud's going to be very, very exciting to see. And it's just great to see Drew McIntyre around there. We still haven't got Randy Orton around, so I think that's going to be sort of, again, like I said with Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella, I think Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes is going to be sort of the end game here, leading up to potentially the end of the year or even WrestleMania. So look out for that, because they haven't versed each other, and that's a program that I think everyone is waiting for and is excited to see. But for now, I think Drew McIntyre fills up that time perfectly between now and sort of WrestleMania season. So we'll see that kind of propel hopefully as well. And then we go to main event. Back on the main event show, the second match of the night, we have Akira Tozawa taking on Grayson Waller here. We have Grayson Waller getting the victory. Pretty decent match. We had flashes where we thought Akira Tozawa would have taken it from some decent counters, but Grayson Waller prevails, and that's expected. We did see Otis. I mentioned at the start, I forgot to mention that it was good to see a lot of WWE superstars. Otis was there, and so was Big Omos, which won the Battle Royal, but Otis is back. So whether he comes back on Raw this week, I suppose he would. Maybe he's back from injury, but yeah, Akira Tozawa was all alone. It's sad because every time Akira Tozawa has a match, you don't see Maxine Dupree, but every time Maxine Dupree and Otis have a match, he's always there supporting them. But he comes out alone. Otis should be back, I think, next week now that we saw him at Triple A. He loses to Grayson Waller due to the sort of unique, unprettier type move that he's got as a finisher. And yeah, I think with Grayson Waller, he's obviously honing into this sort of learning off the New Day gimmick, as obviously New Day are like seen as the worst heels. Not really, but they are, in that mid-card, and Grayson Waller fits that sort of mold too. But for now, I don't think anything is going to happen with Grayson Waller until Austin Theory comes back. And that's where we'll see Austin Theory put over like Carmelo Hayes, because the WWE universe is sort of moving towards that and wanting that to happen. But with these injuries, it's put a stalemate on this, and it's obviously been going on for a year and a half now, this sort of feud on and off between them. But they're officially broken up, and I suppose that the minute Austin Theory comes back, we'll get a program with these two, and I think that's what Grayson Waller needs at the moment. For now, I think he's alright to stay backstage and sort of hang out with the New Day and win matches on main event to get some momentum. But that's what we're waiting for, is Austin Theory to come back and sort of put an end to this feud and put an end to this sort of breakup to again push Theory over the top to be one of the new excelling superstars there. But Grayson Waller looked good in the ring. Akira Tozawa, as mentioned, I'm sort of over him being a part of this Alpha Academy. I feel like it's a detriment to his character. He can do a lot more, but given his size and sort of the depth of how many superstars we've got at the moment, it does make sense that they put him in this role. And he's just a workhorse, and he's just doing his job at the moment. But I'm sure he'd want to do something more. So you never know. Maybe he might need a bit of a dark side heel turn to sort of get back to what he was before, especially in his days in Japan as well. Someone that was a very, very big wrestler back there. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. And then we get on to the main event, which is CM Punk and LA Knight taking on The Vision with the two bronze. We had sort of went to the halfway point of the match. The full match wasn't obviously done there, but we got CM Punk getting in the hot tag, looking to sort of get the victory, about to put a go to sleep on Bron Breakker. That's when Seth Rollins comes in, and before that we had a backstage promo basically saying Seth Rollins was going to leave and take his private jet. We all knew that was a lie, and it was proven when he came out and sort of disrupted the match. It was expected there. It was a way to not, I guess, hurt anyone or diminish anyone in this tag team match. And then we had Jey Uso coming to the ring with a steel chair, so that was a nice surprise. Everyone was thinking the OTC would come, but Jey Uso came out with a steel chair, hit a few of the bronze with it, and then Seth Rollins obviously made his way out of the ring, and that's when Adam Pearce came in to basically announce that we'll have a Fatal 4-Way match. And before I talk about the Fatal 4-Way match, I'll continue on. We then had CM Punk and LA Knight going out against each other. LA Knight hitting an elbow on Jey Uso, and then Punk and LA Knight continuing to sort of fight each other, throw some punches. And that's when Bron Breakker came in and speared the hell out of CM Punk. He's just got an unbelievable spear, doesn't he? His spear is just simply fantastic. I think, honestly saying, and I know it's early, he's probably got one of the best spears I've ever seen. Spears CM Punk, and then we had, obviously, Bronson Reed take care of the guys in the ring. Then Bron Breakker spearing LA Knight from outside the ring. We hit Bronson Reed hitting two Tsunami on Jey Uso. And then Seth Rollins curb stomping CM Punk and curb stomping LA Knight too. Obviously CM Punk being the last one, saying that he'll never get near the title again. And we have an end cut of the Vision just standing taller than everyone else. So this is going to build up the Fatal 4-Way. And I think importing Jey Uso into the match for me means as though that he's going to eat the pin, because the storyline has been heavily focused on, and this is from just Seth Rollins directly, LA Knight and CM Punk sort of fighting for that match between Seth Rollins and wanting to get to him. Whereas Jey Uso has been more focused on the Bronze and trying to just handle them rather than directly having anything to do with Seth Rollins. So for that alone, I think that Jey Uso will take the pin here, and I think that'll be the right decision. We obviously know that Seth Rollins is going to somehow keep the title. And what's a bit strange about this is that he's told the Bronze that they've been banned from ringside before, but there's no consistency here because it doesn't seem as though that they're going to be banned from ringside. So they're obviously going to get into the match and disrupt it at Clash in Paris. It's very predictable. Although I'm excited for a Fatal 4-Way, I do really like Fatal 4-Way matches because you get to see different sort of combinations. I like when faces battle against each other too. We know that Seth Rollins is going to come out victorious. So the way they're sort of doing it, I think they're setting up Jey Uso to take the pin. And CM Punk is going to be the one that was probably the closest to winning it, because obviously that is the main sort of feud. Those two, who I think now have been going at it since Punk has been back, which is great. I know they've had their feuds in between, but it's great to see those two still battling up against each other. It's a real organic rivalry too. I think now they've sort of respected each other a bit more, but at the same time, there is some real tension between these two. So it makes the program really, really good. And I really do like that those two are just always back and forth against each other. And yeah, people can say that they're over it, but to be honest, I think it's great. It's great to see CM Punk and Seth Rollins go at it against each other, given that the reaction that Seth Rollins had when CM Punk first came back was real. It felt real. It looked real. And you got to give credit where credit's due there. Now that Seth Rollins is a heel, he's so much better as a heel, personally. I love this sort of gimmick that Seth Rollins is running, always having his faction group, always cheating and finding ways to win. That's just reminds me of the Seth Rollins back in the Authority days and sort of when he was a heel as the Shield. I think that he can obviously be a very good babyface, but fundamentally, I think as a heel, he does his best work, and he sort of reminds me of Triple H as a heel worker. So just extremely impressive. And Seth Rollins has been such a big sort of acquisition for the company ever since the Shield days, and he's always working 24/7, so deserves to be where he's at. And that's kind of my Seth Rollins compliments done for there. But yeah, we'll have the match between those four to sort of, I guess, wrap up Clash in Paris. I suppose that'll be the main event. Maybe CM Punk and Drew McIntyre will go up against each other, but it feels as though this match is worthy of it being the main event over the match between Cody and Drew McIntyre. Should they add that to Clash in Paris? But again, that pretty much wraps up this week's episode of the main event reviews. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back next week with normal proceedings, and then we'll have sort of the Clash in Paris review / main event matches to sort of address as well. Again, for those that are listening probably for the first time, the reason why I do that is because when Clash in Paris comes out, or when the PLEs kind of come out, it's sort of the same time that main event releases their episodes on YouTube now. And it just defeats us from going back into sort of Raw segments that happen a week back, because the main event show releases a week after Monday Night Raw. Obviously, this is supposed to be filmed before that Raw, if you're following on properly. So obviously that Raw has the storylines sort of wrapped up at the PLE. So it just saves me talking about a PLE or a promo or a match that leads up to that, and repeating what we've already seen and what outcome we've already seen in the PLE. It sort of just wraps that up. So yeah, again, that's why I do it like that. And personally, I just like to talk about main show as well. It gives me a chance to review PLEs too. And if I wasn't doing that, then the main event reviews would go for literally 5 minutes, because the two matches are normally, again, not storyline heavy, but again, they're still important because they give you an opportunity to see which superstars or where they are in terms of trying to get into the main roster and trying to sort of break through into main storyline. And people like Carmelo Hayes that get on main event gives us a chance to talk about him and give you my review and sort of see where they are in sort of their career in WWE and what they're looking to do or what they should be doing, in my opinions. And then you also have those that, like, you look at Natalya right now, who is now on the main card. She had a lot of matches before on main event, so you get to see sort of how they perform on main event, who they're coming across, and how that translates to the main shows as well. So again, that's sort of my little wrap up of why I do the review, and I really do enjoy it. It's been good doing these reviews with you guys, and each week trying to make them as best and improve on them as well. So yeah, again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on next week's episode.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.